Hey, and welcome to Fan Theory Queries, where we analyze fan theories from all over the internet, but mostly Reddit. I'm Laura.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Spencer. And it's a new year, everybody. Hooray! Hooray,
We made it.
hooray, hooray. And we are going to start off the new year with a doozy. It is. It's a good one. So much so that it's a little bit of a longer one. But that's okay, because it's all worth it. Are you ready for this?
Do
Oh,
it.
I'm ready.
All right, this fan theory is called Bruno Madrigal from Encanto was once Moon Knight. And
This is taking me back to our very first episode, because you
I
talked
know.
about Bruno then,
Yeah.
too.
We did. And this is by Reddit user Cairo Wolf. So they say, I rewatched Encanto last night when I noticed something anew and came up with a theory. Bruno Madrigal was once Khonshu's avatar. In the movie, we see Bruno Madrigal also having two other personalities that we know of. Now, I didn't remember this, guys, and I had to look this up. It's a very small scene when he first meets whatever her name is, Rosa. No, not Rosa. Mirabelle. Yeah, and he's like, he puts a hood on and he says that he is Hernando, and then he puts a bucket on his head. Then he says he's Jorge. I forgot about that, but anyway. So we see Bruno Madrigal also having two other personalities. This could be in response to dealing with the trauma of having the burdens of being the town's future site. Or perhaps, is it to cope with issues tied to Abuela Alma, just as with Mark and his mother? Behind the scenes, did Abuela blame Bruno for everything going wrong and push him away? No one is safe or excluded from her outrages. Abuela cannot be bothered with less than perfect. Bruno's two other personas are Hernando and Jorge. Hernando always wears a hood and is scared of nothing. Jorge makes the spackle and may be found wearing a bucket on his head. The extra protection comforts him. So let me write it like this. Bruno is Mark Spector, Jorge is Stephen Grant, and Hernando is Jake Lockley. He's scared of nothing. Maybe Khonshu had a say in Bruno receiving future sight as a gift. The ability to see into future nights would probably be on Khonshu's priority list. It seems incredibly convenient to know more or less when or if the Encanto would be compromised. After Abuela Pedro's untimely death in the dead of night, Khonshu knew he had to choose an avatar. As revealed in episode 3 of Moon Knight, Khonshu remembers every night. Khonshu especially remembers the night Pedro was murdered so helplessly. There was no way he would let this go unpunished. But who? None other than Abuelo's own son, the amazing Bruno Madrigal. We also know that Bruno seemingly only goes out at night ever since he went into hiding. It's the perfect excuse to continue protecting the night. He does this to collect food from the cocina and protect the travelers of the night. Do we ever hear about crime around or within the Encanto? You're welcome. In the daytime, criminals would have to deal with the Madrigals, but by night, the wrath of Moon Knight be upon them. Remember what Camilo said in the song, We Don't Talk About Bruno? When he calls your name, it all fades to black. He feasts on your screams. I think Khonshu has been around enough to know his enemies' names. Clearly, either some stories have made their way around, or Camilo is just being Camilo. Maybe Hernando eventually and mercilessly wiped out all the conquerors. If so, I do not think Hernando ever let Bruno know about this. Bruno just knows they are not there anymore, for whatever reason. In his return from his nighttime duties, Hernando Bruno might leave out a few donkeys and tilt a few buildings for Luisa so she can keep up her tough girl purpose and feel useful. Maybe he relocates Isabella's flowers so she can grow more and feel perfect for Abuela's sake. Honestly, where do they all go? This is not too far-fetched because Mark Jake went out of their way to replace Steven's goldfish, although he was not happy about it. On the same note, Bruno also apparently has connections to finding a horse on the spot. A horse in a town of only donkeys that we have seen. Riding horses is something a knight would do. Wait a minute.
Wow.
And not only that, but it is an unsaddled horse that would actually let Bruno ride instead of bucking him off. To my understanding, that takes quite a bit of training and time spent with said horse. By the end of the movie, Bruno finally embraces the chaos and happily switches between identities as he pleases, because the Encanto is whole again. Khonshu must have told Bruno to break the vision about Mirabel to protect the Encanto. By not having the Encanto fall apart, which we see crumble towards the end of the movie anyway, this helps Hernando Bruno protect the travelers of the night even more. Mirabel even admits that Bruno must have broken the vision to protect her. It was the perfect scapegoat. As for Jorge's role, we know he was mainly helping to patch the rifts in Casita, albeit was neither enough nor fully effective due to the real rift being in La Familia Madrigal. Nevertheless, Jorge could not emotionally stand to see Casita fall apart, so he made the spackle for Hernando. Beyond that, remains a mystery. As time goes on, it becomes clear in the Encanto that something just isn't right about Bruno. Poor guy can't catch a break. But what is not right exactly? Anytime his name is mentioned, something happens, and we don't really know why. Well, some of it is self-fulfilling. It is inevitable. No matter, deep down the people of the Encanto know their community is safe. And this is why we don't talk about Bruno, for the greater good of the Encanto. The end.
Wow.
Good grief.
So,
Wow.
that's the theory. Now, I will go ahead and just say now that there were no comments on this theory
Oh, wow.
only other to say, like, this is the kind of theory that I come to fan theory subreddit for, or well done, lots of compliments, but nothing that's like either supportive or detractive to the theory. So it's up to us to do all of that work.
So that means one of two things. Either this theory is just so solid airtight that it didn't warrant any comments to try and change it or disprove it, or it's so dumb that nobody felt that it was worth even commenting on.
I guess we'll be the judges of that, won't we?
Yes.
That's what we're here to do.
All right, so this is a lot of fun, and I'm
It is
going
a
to...
lot of thought.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Connections
OP
made, that kind of thing.
did a lot of thinking on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is based off solely the Moon Knight TV show. Obviously, the TV show is based off of the comics, but, long-time Marvel fans will know, or even short-time Marvel fans who know their stuff, will know that they took a few liberties in the show itself. But they specifically reference the show, so we know that they're making connections. Although they do talk quite a bit about Jake in this theory as well, and we only see Jake at the very end of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So just right off the bat, guys, what are your gut reactions?
This is a stretch. I think we have to take the whole horse thing out. That's circumstantial.
Yeah.
I think all of it is.
The horse is something a knight would ride, and that he can ride it bareback without it bucking him off. That there are a lot of people who can ride a horse bareback without it bucking them off, and you don't have to have been training it for forever. I mean, somebody had to have trained it. Doesn't mean that Bruno had to have done it.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, since you have professional experience with horses, Laura. If there is a horse that has been trained to be ridden bareback, will it do that for anybody? Like, can I or rando jump on
anybody
its back?
somebody who knows how to ride a horse, yes.
Okay, so we have to assume that Bruno knows how to ride a horse.
Well, and any horse that's broken, period, they'll do it for somebody. Even if you aren't a good rider and you fall off, that's not necessarily always going to be the horse's fault. That's probably yours because you don't know how to keep your seat. But, I mean, I rode bareback for the first time a couple of years ago. I didn't train that horse. And I stayed on.
Where did the horse come from? Because all we saw were donkeys up to that point.
It came from its mommy.
Oh, okay.
When a mommy horse and a daddy horse love each other. That whole thing, as far as horses not being as prevalent around town as donkeys, honestly, the only time we see donkeys is just with Luisa. So how are we not to say that it's just that Luisa has an affinity for donkeys?
Yeah, there's really not enough evidence to back that up either way you look at it. So
Does Moon
I
Knight
agree,
ever ride a
Laura.
horse?
I'm sure in the
Like, is that a thing?
Um,
comics.
I'm sure in the comics at some point.
I see. Okay,
I don't
so
I don't
we'll
think
we'll
he did
just
in the show though.
we'll toss that aside. It doesn't really matter one way or the other.
Yeah, it's inconsequential.
Okay.
Why
All right,
would
well, let's look at a
Khonshu
couple.
care about the Encanto? Why would Khonshu care? Or
I don't know.
Casita? That's the part.
Well, the thing is,
Perhaps
we, well, go ahead, Michael.
I was just gonna say perhaps there's some sort of connection to the powers that they have there with the Egyptian gods that Khonshu is a part of.
Which is weird. You would
It could
think
be,
that they would be more connected to like Maya or Inca in
yeah.
Latin America.
It could be if you were to subscribe to the idea that in this universe there are the different groups of gods like the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods, the Mayan gods, and so forth, that they are not necessarily together, but they are aware of each other. It's kind of like in Thor: Love and Thunder, how they all have their own things, but they know that each other exists. So maybe one of the maybe the god that was in charge of, or that granted these magical powers to the Encanto, I don't know, maybe Khonshu owed them a favor or something, and Khonshu stepped in to help out. Who
I
knows?
don't. Yeah, I don't know if he has to have any stake, or any. He has to care about the Encanto or Casita, because, like, at least in the show, Mark, or not Mark. Which one? Which is that's not Steven. No, it is Mark. Mark Spector, just kind of like happens to be almost dead, and oops, look there. There's a Khonshu looking for his next avatar. It just kind of
Yeah.
like happenstance, right? So I don't know enough of the lore or the canon to know what the requirements are. And honestly, it doesn't sound like we get a whole lot of it. That the main avatar for Khonshu has always been this Mark Spector trio. Of course, we learned in the show that whatever the Ethan Hawke's character had been at once, but I don't know if what the rules are for someone becoming the Moon Knight.
I think it's just Khonshu chooses someone that he feels like he can kind of mold into
Okay.
Me,
what he wants the Moon Knight to be.
mold is code for manipulate.
Yes. I was trying to find a better way of putting it, but yeah, it when you break it down, it is manipulation. He looks for someone who is
Desperate.
basically, yeah, desperate in some way or another, whether it's they're on the verge of death or some other life circumstance has caused some sort of desperation where they have no way out unless they accept his offer. He looks for easy targets, essentially.
Do you? Let's ask this question. Do y'all think that Bruno has this multiple personality thing going on?
I think it's viable thought.
I think it's definitely a trauma response
Yeah,
to and also a coping mechanism for his loneliness.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's good.
Because he's an act. He says he could have been an actor because of how well he swapped between his
Yeah.
personas. So Bruno only goes out at night. Coincidence, maybe. Um,
I want to know about that part. Do we know he goes out? I don't remember that part of the movie. I don't remember
well,
hearing.
he has to go out to get food.
Does he? He just has to go to
Where else?
the kitchen of
How
the
else
house.
is going to get food?
Yeah, because his little space is in the
Remember,
in
he
the inner
eats.
walls of the house, and so he has his little doors in the walls that he opens up and grabs food from the kitchen,
So I didn't.
if I remember correctly.
So I don't. I didn't think
I mean,
he
we
had
don't
to
see him
go
do
out
it.
anywhere. I thought he just would like grab the stuff that rolled, that fell off the table and rolled toward the wall or something. Or
I don't know. He'd be relying on chance quite a bit if that's how he got his food.
with that many people in that house, no one is paying attention,
Yes.
and they
Yeah,
rely on their house to clean for them because it's magical.
Hmm. Do you think the house fed him?
Heck yes,
that's
it
possible.
protected him. That's what the house was meant to do, was to protect
Where did
the members of that family. I bet Casita knew that he was in there the whole time.
where did he get the
Yeah,
stuff for the spackle?
Casita?
magic,
Magic. Where did he get the horse?
magic.
Ah, how do you know how to ride a horse?
I think everybody in that culture probably knew how to ride a horse.
Yeah,
Hmm. Okay. I'm just asking the tough questions that no one else wants to ask.
The things that people need to know.
uh huh.
All right. Okay, last question that I want to ask, and just your opinions. So one of the things that they mentioned is maybe Khonshu had a say in Bruno receiving future sight as a gift. Do you think that it's one way or the other? Let's just assume that this is correct. Let's just say that Bruno was once Moon Knight. Would it have been that Khonshu had a say in what he received, or would it be that Khonshu chose Bruno because of his gift?
I
I personally would think it would be the latter.
I agree, because we already know that everybody receives their gifts because of the Madrigal family thing,
Yeah.
and that he would have gotten his gift when he was quite young. And I don't think that Khonshu would have chosen an avatar that young that would have preceded him receiving the gift.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I agree with you both as well.
thank you.
All right. I think we're about ready to give some final determinations. You guys have anything else?
No, I think anything else that I have to say would have to tie into my rating.
Yeah,
Same for you, Laura?
I guess so, yeah.
Well, we're going to go ahead and go and take a quick message break, but when we come back, we will give our official theory ratings. And we're back. I took the break to go listen to We Don't Talk About Bruno, and it still just, it gets me every time
Liar.
that they are talking about Bruno and the whole song. They're singing about him, I guess, but they're still talking about him. All right, so it's time to rate this theory, and we have a really cool official scale that is fully functional and used by the Academy to officially rate theories.
And we created
And
it.
it was no, Michael did.
Oh, yes, he did.
Well, with a little
You guys provided some input.
input from us.
Well, I came up with the
But
name of the
anyway.
podcast, so I win.
You do win. Michael, would you, since this was your baby, would you like to give birth as we record once again to it?
Oh.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
The highest rating that we have is genius. This is reserved for only the best theories, which we believe are better than the actual canon. The next step down is plausible. It's a good theory, it's believable. Unlikely is next. It's not a terrible theory, but pretty unlikely, as the name suggests. And then the last thing is preposterous. These are the theories that are just stupid. Basically, we're all dumber for having listened to them.
Okay, now that things are weird and awkward, who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Laura goes.
This theory's preposterous. OP. Wow. I mean, there are theories that. Okay, well, never mind. I'm not going to slam on you for that, just because I do like some of those theories that where people just take two things that seem totally unrelated and find connective tissue and are very creative with it. And I appreciate those things. But this is one that I think, this is a bridge too far, really stretching it way too thin, and it just doesn't hold up under scrutiny. It's not anything that somebody can walk away going, huh, I guess so. It's too easy to poke holes in this. So that's why I give it a preposterous.
Okay, okay. All great points. Michael, what about you?
So I have to give this one genius.
I knew it. I knew you were going to.
I will agree and fully admit that there are some inconsistencies and things that don't necessarily match up with some of the evidence that's provided, but the overall just idea of it, I feel like if someone were to dive a little deeper and do a little bit more research, there would be some very plausible ways of putting that together. And for me, I just love the idea of this. I want this to be the new canon. I love Moon Knight, so I just think this would make me enjoy the Encanto movie so much more, knowing that he's Moon Knight.
So, Michael, you said some interesting things, but it made me realize that this whole theory, you could say, doesn't really have any proof going for it, but it also
Right.
doesn't have any like strong things saying that it's not possible, like that it just can't be true.
Yeah.
Right? There's no,
Right.
like, Lin-Manuel Miranda did not write a song that said, I am Bruno and I was never Moon Knight, So we don't know that. And we don't know in the comics history, we don't know what year this movie was set in. We don't know in
Yeah.
the comics history, who all has held the mantle of Moon Knight. We know that Khonshu's been around for a long time. However, the thing, my sticking point is that, and Laura brought this up about, Khonshu choosing him as a child. That's not going to happen. And part of this theory is the person saying that it's Abuelo Pedro's death that kind of helped, push gear Khonshu towards Bruno. But that was
When he was a
very,
baby.
I don't even.
Oh, no, she
He was a
wasn't.
baby.
Were they born yet?
She had a baby, at least one. I
Well,
don't know.
they're
He was
triplets.
the oldest, right?
They're triplets.
Oh, okay. Yes, they were born when he died.
Okay. But they were infants.
Because she was carrying them, I
She
believe,
had 'em-
whenever they were traveling.
Yes.
So, I mean, he just chooses him and then waits around for the age of accountability for Moon Knight.
Well, yeah. I mean, Khonshu's an Egyptian god. Like, he's immortal. Time is irrelevant to him. So
But
waiting
it-
a handful of years for Bruno to mature is like a speck in time for Khonshu.
But all of those people who went unprotected waiting for a new Moon Knight to mature, that seems a little irresponsible of Khonshu.
Well, maybe Khonshu had a different Moon Knight at the time, and he just like put a note, like a sticky note, on his little board that, hey, Bruno's going to be the next one whenever
Oh.
he's old enough.
I got it. I've solved it, everybody. One night, Bruno climbed up on the roof.
Oh, no.
And he saw Moon Knight there.
He
And
said,
he was scared, so
"Hey,
he pushed
you!"
him off. And Moon Knight fell and died.
the Moon Knight
He
claws.
became the new Moon Knight. Yep. Okay. Oh, so anyway, my rating is going to be unlikely. Not quite preposterous, because I do give them the credit for all the work they put into it, and I think that there are some things, for the most part, that you could make it work, but just that one thing, and Michael, you tried to work around that, so because you could maybe possibly make it work, I'll say it's just unlikely.
Okay, that's fair.
Yay! I like being fair. And since I declared how much I like being fair, that means it's almost time to bring this episode to a close. But before we do, guys, I have something interesting.
Oh, you do?
That, I've just been dying to tell you. I saw it so many weeks ago.
I hope you don't get
since the
close
last
to
time we
dying
recorded.
waiting to tell us and then become Khonshu's new avatar.
You would love that, wouldn't you?
Maybe.
I would be jealous.
Now, this is slightly delayed as far as relevancy goes, just because, we've taken a break, but it is about a Christmas movie. And this
Okay.
is pointed out to me, and this is interesting, and I love these little things. From Reddit user Cheesy Tater, he pointed out that, we still watch It's a Wonderful Life, even though it's, almost, it's getting close to 100 years old almost, in 20 years maybe, or so. I don't know how old it is. But we still watch it, and it still holds up, and he points out that the reason why It's a Wonderful Life holds up so well is that George's line, "You know how long it takes a working man to save $5,000?" has somehow not aged even slightly.
It's so sad that it's true. It's really sad that it's true, and so many people can still identify at least with that aspect. Dang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$5,000, man, that's
Tragic.
It's a lot.
Tragic. Cool. Well, hasn't this been a real riveting episode?
Did you like
yes.
my George Bailey impression?
Wait, do a different line.
It's a wheelchair. Oh, Clarence, you got your bells. Or, your wings, or whatever it's called.
You switched to a different movie for a minute. Okay.
I was just wondering where Spencer went.
Anyway, this has been Fan Theory Queries. I'm Laura.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Spencer. In our next episode, we ask, how does Bowser keep coming back every time Mario knocks him into lava? Subscribe to Fan Theory Queries so you don't miss out on that and other fascinating fan theories.
Jeez.